Thanks, Sarah. That's great. This is a fab session. I'm really looking forward to this, and it's brilliant to see so many people on the call or our meeting today. So the Chamber's been working hard on our online event programme and doing some, getting the right kind of webinars available for everybody, and that's really been top of all of our minds. I think listening to businesses and making sure that we're supporting as much as we possibly can. Like we've always been doing, we're signposting a lot to the COVID hub on our website and just learning about, what challenges businesses are facing in accessing things like the bounce back loan scheme, or on the other side of that, hearing the successes of people that are now getting access to some of the self-employed support, and just continuing to signpost that if you've not yet applied for some of the support that your business is eligible for, then the local authorities are still processing grant applications. They're still working hard at trying to get the newly self-employed hardship money out to people. So, come and ask us if they've got any questions at all about anything that can help your business get through this. It's clear that minds seem to now be changing from, we were very much in crisis mode, trying to get everybody access to all of that support. And as that support is getting its way to businesses are now thinking about, well, what comes next? What guidance is there for us reopening? What does it mean for my sector? What does it mean for the safety of my people and my customers? All of that. All these conversations are happening this week, and I took part in a meeting with Jamie Hepburn this week from Scottish Government, and that was very much looking at what guidance is going to be coming out of government, what were we hearing from various sectors about the challenges they were facing, and what could government be doing. And it's clear that whether it's local authority or national government, they're definitely listening. So if you're still experiencing issues or you've got any challenges at all, then please come and tell us so that we can make sure that's fed into them. So this week has been an interesting week. Mental Health Awareness Week. We've been talking a lot about this to businesses all week, and I've been trying to support our team as much as possible. For those of you that follow some of our social media, you might have seen that during our team sessions, we're now each member of our team takes a turn to actually chair that meeting, so that means that they've got a different way of interacting with different people of our team, and we're also theming our team sessions. So we started off with a really easy one, which was hats, and it's progressed. I mean, the bar is massively raised. We've had 80s this week, and today was all about animals, and one of our team dressed up as a fox, which was brilliant. So it's been just a nice way for us to connect, and not just always be talking about work all the time. And I know that I'm very lucky that I've got some of my private green space of my own, but we're going to be hearing about green space and mindfulness and why all of that is just vitally important today. So I think that's all from me. I'm going to get out of the way and introduce our first speaker, which is Viola. So if you can unmute yourself, and when I can hear you, I will mute and get out of your way.
Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, great. So I'm going to screen share. Right, hope you can all see my slides. So my name is Dr. Viola Marks, and I'm the Green Health Partnership Coordinator. So I sit within Dundee City Council, and I'm co-managed by ONHS Tayside. So let me click. So first of all, I'm going to explain to you what the Green Health Partnership is, and then I'll put it in the context. So green means green spaces. So this can be your back garden at this point in time, or it can be any of our beautiful parks that we have all around the city. And these are all actually pictures taken in Dundee, so we have lots of green spaces to use. And we want to use those green spaces for health benefits. So they're really good for our mental health. This is Mental Health Awareness Week. They're good for physical health. They're good in managing and prevention and help with treatment. And they're just fabulous places to really use for all of our health. And the Green Health Partnership makes use of green spaces with our third sector partners. So I've plotted some of them here on the slides, and they offer a variety of different activities, from walking to cycling to walking football and gardening and so on. So this is sort of what I usually do, but I just really work on getting people into their local green space, into their own green space for their health benefits. So Green Health Partnerships, there's 4 of us in Scotland, and I've got Dundee as my remit. Accessing green spaces. So I mentioned health benefits, and this is a summary from a meta-analysis that just really shows what green space can help with. And, you know, this is purely by placing yourself in this environment. This has nothing to do with going around running and exercising and starting to sweat. This is purely about being surrounded by green space. So mental health and well-being, anxiety and depression are probably quite high at this point in time. It really helps to just get some fresh air. They help with child development. People in green spaces rate themselves as being happier. They have a healthier weight, that reduces mortality. It helps managing chronic pain and other chronic issues. So as you can see, there is lots of benefits to be gained. When I talk about green health, I mean active as well as passive engagement. So this can be your gentle stroll in the park or sitting, having a picnic. For children, outdoor learning and play. I mean, there's no better place to learn. It's about recreation and sport. There can be practical conservation. It can be gardening, which you can start inside and then carry it outside. It can be used for rehabilitation, recovery, active travel. So, you know, get on your bike, make use of the fresh air. But also there's evidence that simply looking at nature, looking at images, videos is really beneficial to our health. So how can we benefit from green spaces during COVID-19? There is a couple of different ways that we can do this quite easily. So walking in the park, and I'll go into each of these in a minute, going for a cycle, gardening, lots of other little options, and then I'll speak a little bit about how we can bring nature inside. So this is a picture of Magdalene Green that I took on my recent cycle during lockdown. Why is walking in the park good for us? So last year I did a little marketing campaign about why walking outside is good for us, and I thought I'll just show you a couple of the images because it's much nicer to see. It's good for working our muscles. It keeps us fit, you know, and everybody can walk in their own pace. Again, you don't have to break a sweat. It helps us with concentration, learning, performance, because it strengthens our bones. It helps us reduce falls as well, which is really important as we age. It helps lower the risk of developing Alzheimer's, can reduce the risk of cancer, high blood pressure is lowered, can help prevent and reverse type 2 diabetes through the little gentle exercise that we're doing. And just in general, people who walk more live longer. So lots of benefits to be gained just from a little stroll that we can take in our neighbourhood. And I think in Dundee, we're all really lucky that we have so many green spaces around us that are really accessible to everybody. Going for a cycle is another one. So I love jumping on my bike, and especially now that it's nice and quiet on the roads, it enables a lot more people to go and participate. So here are a couple of points as to why that's good for us. You know, it can really help us clear our head. If we need to think about stuff, process things, just getting on your bike and going for a little ride, it's really good. Of course, you have all the physical benefits, again, strong bones, strong muscles, flexibility. It helps us manage our mental health, our anxiety, or low mood that we might have, especially now when the sun is out. I mean, that just makes everything so much better. And again, you know, engaging in regular cycling helps us manage, prevent disease, decreases your body fat levels. So there's, you know, it's just lots of good reasons on why we should all get on our bike a little bit more, especially now where less traffic is around and we can actually be a bit more confident. The other thing is Dundee. This is Dundee's cycling map. So as you can see, and I've included the links, and there'll be all the links will be in the back, and the slides will be made available to show where we can go cycling, which routes are available, and to see how our city is connected. And you can cycle through the green spaces, and then you can just reap all the benefits of nature and being active during this time. Another thing that we can do is gardening. So I've noticed that a lot of people have taken an interest in gardening just now, but the problem is the garden centres are closed, and, you know, I don't have anything at home, and how can I even get started? Not to worry, because my colleague Kate Trahan, who I've seen is also on this chat, she put together a fabulous resource, which is the Lockdown Gardening channel on YouTube. So she works for the council and is the community allotments officer, and she uses the most creative ways of how to make use of what we already have in our kitchens and in our cupboards to start gardening. So you can, you know, use the tomatoes and get the seeds out, and you can start planting these, and Kate can talks you through how to do this and then how to move it outside. So I think this is a fantastic resource that anyone can use who has the feeling that they have no green thumbs, because you don't need them. You just need to watch the videos and follow what she's doing, and it's a lot of fun. So again, I've included the link for this as well. There are other benefits that we can reap from nature that are sort of indirect. So one of the other Green Health Partnerships put together a lovely resource, which I've divided here into inside and outside. And it's about, you know, if you go for your walk, you can look at the trees and do some plant IDing. You can also just, even from your window, you know, look at the clouds, cloud appreciation, observe how the seasons are changing. I mean, the flowers are out and everything is starting to really blossom now and start to grow, and it's just a fabulous time. As I already said, engaging in nature even indirectly, so, you know, painting things is a really nice way. It's good for your mental health. It helps you calm down. You can engage in wildlife photography. You can build little bird feeders or little like bee things. You can go foraging in our parks as well. So I like to go to Kayot Park, and they have wild garlic, and it's fantastic, and I can make some pesto afterwards. And you can also go out and start your own wild sourdough. I think making bread has gained lots of popularity at this point in time, so I've included a little recipe, and you can do this while you're walking around in your garden, whisking away and gathering the wild leaf. So there are lots of little wonderful ways that we can engage with nature, even at home. Bringing the nature inside, so again, painting the nature, taking virtual walks. So in the resource I've included, there are walks in other national parks. So if you are shielding for any reason, this is another way to reap the benefit of nature. You can bird ID, because you can look out your window and you can see what wildlife is about. Again, look at the clouds, read about nature, listen to music that can connect you to nature. You can write about it, you can write poems and so on. You can also do creative things like potato printing, carrot printing, turnip printing. So you can do this for yourselves or with your children, or you can even make different nature-related things like origami. So there are lots of ways that we can still engage and, you know, have something to do to pass the time inside that is not looking at the news. Usually, you know, I would work on connecting people with groups that participate in the outdoors. They're currently on hold because this is lockdown and we have to practice physical distancing. However, once this is all easing up again, there are actually over 60 weekly free activities that people can join, from walking to cycling to gardening. So if you feel like there's been a lot of isolation at this point due to lockdown measures, you know, this is the time to reach out and reconnect and socialise afterwards. So this was at the launch of the Green Health Partnership, and you've probably, maybe, hopefully heard about green health prescriptions. So in Dundee, we are prescribing fresh air, as the media called it, which are the groups that I mentioned. It also includes yoga in the park and all sorts of other wonderful things. And if you would like to sign up to start participating once we're all allowed again within new measures in place, I've left the contact telephone number here. They sit within the DVVA, that's the Dial Up and Go team. So if you're interested in joining a walking group, a cycling group, a yoga group, and get moving again after we can and do this outside, then all you have to do is get in touch. So yeah, this is me, and I'm just going to quickly show you some of the resources, links. So the slides will be made available, so in your own time you can explore these. There is a Keeping Healthy During COVID resource, which I put together. It also includes lovely home workouts for everybody, so from with your children right to the elderly and for the blind, so it's fully accessible. We have various health walks in Dundee. They are divided into the different areas, so different ways to explore what's around you, and they have points of interest there as well, and are map-based and text-based. I already showed you the lockdown gardening, so the YouTube channel link is here, the cycling map as well, the 19 ways to staying connected, that's the inside and outdoor section, the link can be found here, and your wild yeast sourdough starter as well. And then one of my partners, Ninewells Community Garden, put together lots of webinar online resources as well. And here are the links to get back to the ones that are already published. And if you're interested in joining any of the upcoming ones, there is a link there as well to sign up for their mailing list. So that's me, and I'm going to close this down and give over to Leslie. Thank you.
So thank you, Viola. That's such an inspiring presentation. The fact that there are so many resources within our local area is extraordinary, and I know it's something that I pass on every day where I can to the folk that are still part of Maggie's and are still able to visit us either online or via telephone, and increasingly we'll be able to open our doors again. So my name is Leslie. I am the consultant clinical psychologist at Maggie's and the centre head. And we're based in the Ninewells campus, just adjacent to the cancer centre. And I have the most glorious view, absolutely, just up the Tay. So I'm very appreciative of that. And so immediately I can engage all my senses in just what's outside my window. But I'm very, very aware that many people can't necessarily be outside at this time or don't have the luck of such a beautiful view. But what I'm going to do is actually take you through a meditation which is very accessible, and it's something that I use very frequently with all sorts of different people, so that they could be staff groups in the NHS that I work with, or indeed the visitors from all backgrounds that come through the Maggie's doors, albeit, as I say, virtually at the moment. And the reason why I bring meditation to people is I often describe our minds, particularly when we're going through overwhelming situations, as like a shook up child's snow globe. It's like there's a blizzard swirling inside of us. And that's clear that obviously it's not the best place to make decisions or really to respond to the reality in which we find ourselves with the kind of the measured calm that we would prefer. And so what meditation does, and mindfulness meditation, it just helps you to pause, to let that kind of blizzard in effect settle, so that you've got some clear space to respond to what's happening without reacting. So responding aligned with your values and what matters to you as a person, rather than reacting according, being swept away by difficult thoughts and emotions. And so the meditation that I'll be doing is one which is called the waterfall. And the reason that I've chosen this was it was just so inspiring listening to Viola yesterday as she just kind of gave a run through of what she was going to bring to us. And it's something that people can do if they are lucky enough to be able to be sitting by a stream or sitting by any degree of flowing water, then obviously that adds to that sensory experience. But it's also something that we can use the power of our imagination to evoke. And to find the same message and that same kind of settling of the blizzard that I mentioned, so that there's that kind of clear space, that clarity for somebody to choose what to do. And as we all know, throughout these last weeks, we can't choose what happens to us in life, but we can choose how to respond. And that's a very clear message for anybody who's going through cancer. But anybody going through anything, this is what I'm offering to you is a human aspiration for us all, and I hope you find it meaningful, not just for you, but also to pass on to your employees, your friends, and your families. It's a meditation that goes across the age range, and it's a picture that many people can kind of capture in their minds. But it's worth saying that it doesn't have to be a vivid picture. Many of us can't create vivid images in our minds, but we can get a sense of it. We can get a sense of this waterfall, okay? So what I'm going to do is invite you to be with me in a meditation, and it may be something that you've never done before, but or maybe something that you do daily as part of a mindfulness practice. If you do, if you acquire a taste for this through just the talking and how it fits together exactly with what Viola is talking about, then please do get in touch. And you just have to get in touch with me at the Maggie's Centre or email me. That's not a problem. And also the presentation that goes with this. I don't know whether the Wi-Fi is sufficiently okay to actually kind of risk me trying to present at the moment. So I'm not going to, but I will be able to send the presentation to you. And in that presentation, there is a link to me doing this waterfall meditation that you can use and share with your teams and your employees, or as I say, with your families. So what I would invite you to do is just find somewhere comfortable just to sit. So where you're sitting in your office chairs are fine. It may be something that you prefer just to listen, and that's fine, or you prefer just to kind of switch your video off at the moment. That's fine too. I do these meditations daily now via Zoom or Teams, and people choose their own thing, or their own kind of feel of comfort in doing it. And I will be kind of quietly kind of fuzzing my screen, so that you know that I'm not just gazing on you all the time. And also you might notice, if you do keep your eyes open, you might notice that I close my eyes. And it's literally just so that I can it just kind of helps me to become more aware of my internal world rather than my external world. Okay. Just one more thing before we do start is this idea of, again, building on what Viola was saying, is our senses are this remarkable kind of opportunity for all of us to actually come into the present moment. So rather than being caught into the future or caught into the past, it helps us to be here and now, rather than getting caught up in speculation about the future, way beyond the facts, or caught up into memories and traumatic, perhaps, events or thoughts that even have happened in our everyday. And so in the meditation, I'll be inviting you to kind of use your senses, the 5 senses. So using your imagination in terms of seeing, but also your imagination in terms of what you can hear and what you potentially can smell or taste or indeed touch. And that idea of coming back to your senses, and there's a remarkable way of just kind of settling that snow globe, settling that storm in your head, so that you can find some clarity just to decide how you wish to respond to what's happened to you rather than react. Okay, so now I will start. And sometimes I'll go silent, but that's just so that you can be more with yourself, but I'll always come back and lead us on to the next part. And it will take probably about 12 minutes, like that, not too long, okay? So I'm just kind of dulling my screen and settling into the chair that's holding me. And letting my eyes lower, or my gaze lower, whichever is my preference. I'd invite you to do so as well. Either closing your eyes or lowering your gaze. And if your mind wanders, that's okay. That's what our minds do. It's normal to think. Meditation isn't about having a blank mind. It's a training in how to choose where you wish to place your thoughts and your awareness, rather than where your mind wants to sweep you away. And our thoughts are very powerful. They can weave works of fiction that sweep us into another world. But this practice helps us to be with our thoughts. Be with our thoughts using the imagination and the idea of a waterfall. To actually sit with them, allow them to be there without getting carried away. So taking this time to settle down with gravity. Allowing your weight to just be given up to this gentle force that holds us in place on this earth. a magnetism that just gently pulls us down and roots us to the floor beneath us and the ground beneath us and the earth beneath that. But gravity is this extraordinary force which also allows us to move, gives us the freedom to sit straight, to sit upright, to sit tall, and finding a posture that is full of dignity and grace. And dropping down into the body and connecting where you can feel the breath most strongly in the body. And just being curious and interested with the rhythm of the breath in your body. Just taking some moments to watch 3 breaths come all the way in and go all the way out. The breath is always there as an anchor, always somewhere to come back to whenever we feel our minds sweeping us away. So just watching whatever is the natural rhythm of the breath for you. Being with it just as it is. And whenever your mind wanders, just be patient. Just be gentle with yourself. It's normal for our minds to wander. That's what being human is. But each time you find your mind wandering, use it as an opportunity to train the mind to come back to where you wish it to be, rather than where it wants to take you. And in this moment, we're resting our awareness. We're on the movement of the breath in the body. So using your breath to reel your mind back into your body, even if you have to do it over and over again. Reel your mind back to where you wish it to be. And then letting your breath be a backdrop. Backdrop as we move into our imagination and bring to mind a waterfall or a cascade. It could be somewhere in Scotland, it could be anywhere in the world. This is the power of your imagination. It could be a torrent of water, or it could be a mountain stream. Just be curious what arrives for you. And take these moments. Start forming a sense of your waterfall. You may find that you switch between waterfalls, but then gently allow your mind to just settle on one. Picturing yourself at the top of the waterfall, on the bank. It could be a grassy bank, or it could be stony. Wherever it's safe, you feel grounded and connected with the earth beneath you. With the sound of the waterfall in the background, the evocative rushing of the water. Feel the ground beneath you, noticing the softness of the grass, or the moss, or indeed the hard but smooth feel of the rock beneath you. Maybe you're holding on to a branch or a bush, but you're safe and you're secure. And you're sitting on this bank, looking at this waterfall, this torrent of water, rather than from it. And the sense of the earth beneath you, grounding you. The earth has such resilience, such strength. It's unchanging, even though everything around us might be changing. It stays firm and anchors us too. Maybe you can get a sense of the smells around you as you're sitting next to this waterfall. Or maybe there's nothing. And it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're taking this time to bring to your mind this sensory feel of being next to a waterfall. So just taking these moments to build the picture or the sense of it. And looking around in your mind, you can see the greens or the bracken or the brown. But you can also see the water. And again, using your imagination, imagine this water, this torrent and this current and these whirlpools. Imagine that this is your thoughts. This water are your thoughts, your emotions, your physical sensations, and they just keep tumbling by. You can't choose that they're tumbling by. You can't choose the thoughts that go through your mind. You can't choose the emotions. You can't choose the physical sensations, but you can choose how to respond to them. And this is where sitting on the bank comes in. Because here you are sitting on the bank looking at your thoughts, emotions and physical sensations as they swell past in this torrent, rather than from the swell. And looking at them, you can choose which ones to get involved in, which ones to follow, and which ones to just simply step back and allow to happen, to linger, and then go. Watching the swell, watching the pitch, watching the shade, watching the light as the water rushes past and over to the top of the waterfall and down the cascade. And thoughts re-emerge, or emotions re-emerge, and we can't stop them, but we can just watch them arise and linger, and then pass over the waterfall from the safety of our bank. And then playfully you can add to this, imagining this wondrous waterfall with all your senses alive and that feel of being in nature. even if you can't step into it right now. And you can add the idea of actually being aware of those sticky, sabotaging, undermining thoughts that get in the way of us being the person that we wish to be. And playfully put these sticky thoughts, these sabotaging thoughts, on little leaf rafts and launch them into the water. Launch them into the swirl of your waterfall. Watching them duck, watching them dive, and then getting caught in the current and going over the edge of the waterfall and plunging down the cascade. And every time a sabotaging thought or an undermining thought or a sticky thought occurs to you, imagine that idea of just floating them on these rafts into the waterfall again. You can't choose whether they arrive in your mind, but you can choose how to respond to them. And this waterfall gives you that metaphor to just launch them and let them get caught up in the current and gradually pulled away. And as you sit on your bank, on your rock, you might find that you get sprayed by the water sometimes, and that's reality, that's life. We can't avoid difficulty. We can't avoid the kind of just the getting soaked in whatever events or emotions that happen to us in our lives. But at least when we're on that bank and maybe get soaked, we're by the vibrancy of our lives, because the only alternative we've got is to hide in the woodland, the dry, parched woodland adjacent. In true, we wouldn't get wet, but we wouldn't be a part of the vibrancy. And so sitting by this waterfall, yes, we do get wet sometimes, but we don't have to get carried away. We don't have to get swept away. So as we'll have to take leave of this meditation now, but just gently, as you would take leave of a conversation with a friend, not abruptly moving into the rest of your day, but just gently opening your eyes and starting to engage in the next moment. And forming the intention that during this week, whenever you're feeling overwhelmed with difficult thoughts or emotions associated with work or with family life, step into this wondrous, sensual image of a waterfall. Or indeed, if you're lucky enough, find a waterfall to actually sit next to. And just be a part of this idea of the water being your thoughts, your emotions, and you deciding which ones you want to get involved in and which ones you just want to let them arise, linger, and pass away down the waterfall. Thank you, everybody. And I'll mute myself now and pass over to Alice.
Thanks very much, Leslie. That was really, really interesting, both of you actually. Obviously, Viola, the green space and making use of, kind of what's on our doorstep, and if we don't have it on our doorstep, what can we do? And I think the meditation was really interesting. We did a session last week, which was a home workout session. But again, looking to kind of support employees in their mental health. So it's really interesting to see the different, Viola, you spoke about it, you don't have to go and, break a sweat doing exercise. You can just jump on a bike and go for a gentle cycle, but there's lots of different activity levels, from sitting doing a little bit of meditation to a 20-minute home workout session. So there's lots and lots of things to obviously help with physical and mental health. There's not many questions, to be honest. One thing that Ian's actually had to leave us, unfortunately. Ian's currently getting a new boiler fitted in his room, and they're using a jackhammer to create space for pipes. So he's obviously found it a little bit difficult to get into that kind of meditation zone. So a lesson learnt from himself is to obviously bring yourself into a quiet space. to be able to kind of zone out, I guess. But Susie, you've put in an interesting comment there. I wonder if you want to come in and speak a little bit more about it.
Hi, Susie.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Yeah, well, I didn't expect this morning, so thank you very much, Leslie. I didn't know what I expected, but it wasn't meditation after lunchtime, so it was good. Like you said, not everybody can meditate or do it anytime, but the families I work with, they find it really hard to find 5 minutes to themselves. And then when they do, they don't have that much time to go through the whole cycle. So what I'm doing now is breaking it down into small steps. So the first week is just figuring out what are the values, and then being in peace with that, because sometimes it turns out that what you think you're trying to do is not actually based on your value.
No. I mean, can I commend to Susie there, because what Susie's talking about is actually at the heart. So both she and I use a very similar approach in terms of our therapy, and it's very much about being the person that matters to you, but it's trying to put it into bite-sized chunks. So what Susie's about to describe is absolutely spot on. So over to you, Susie.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's what it is. Then the next week it would be more on, when you find the space for 5 minutes, how can you feel with your senses the different things? And just 5 minutes, just noticing, yeah, I can hear a bird, I can hear the bin lorry coming or something, and being in peace with that. Smells, looking at the picture and just noticing the picture, just focus on one thing at a time, and then slowly figuring out over the weeks, what is it that you are aiming to achieve? Is it achievable? What steps can you make, and what is holding you back? So again, it's being constantly aware, but that comes with practice. It doesn't happen overnight.
No,
It might take months. So, but the course that I'm planning to do, I want to give people lots of visuals, so like magnets for the fridge or where they can take their notes. And what I want to encourage is communication as well. So they will get the next learning once they submit what we were discussing at the beginning. So it encourages them to move forward.
Yeah. Can I comment on that? Is that okay? Because if you saw what I'm surrounded with at the moment, I was doing a meditation on a glitter ball yesterday. So some of the approach that I use, it's evidence-based, and it's evidence-based in cancer. It's evidence-based in all sorts of different ways to approach anything that's really going on for a human being, and how we can align ourselves with our values and be the person that matters to us, regardless of our professional life, our family life, or whatever. And I'd love to, Sarah, if you could welcome us back at any point, or Alison, then I'd love to talk about this, perhaps in terms with Susie and Viola, in terms of you can actually bring it into small bite-sized chunks. And so, for example, what Viola's describing in terms of that walk, you can really pack a punch in a walk if you take all your 5 senses with it. So it's not just that you're walking with your head trying to work something out. You're walking, being able to see the colour. You're listening. You're tasting, and you're also, rather than being perhaps chatting, although obviously that's a companionable thing to be doing, it might be at times you actually decide to switch off from each other just for 5 minutes to actually walk and be in that moment. And I can't kind of stress that enough, really. So go on, Susie.
Yeah, what I found is that parents or people I work with feel bad that I just can't do it. And I'm teaching them it's okay to notice that you can't do it.
Yeah.
Just saying, I'm noticing, I'm struggling to switch off.
Yeah.
That's being mindful.
Yeah, yeah. Or one of the things that I suggest people to do is, whilst you're walking, if your mind wanders, stop. and just look at the thing that's right in front of you. So as soon as your mind starts wandering, stop and look at, and it could be the tree bark, it could be a garden post, it could be anything, but you just stay and you be with that for 10 seconds and then start walking again. And it soon helps you to kind of train yourself to just be with what you're seeing rather than where your mind wants to take you. But I appreciate that if this is new to lots and lots of people, then you must be thinking, what on earth is she talking about? But it's very simply broken down, and yeah, I welcome any opportunity to bring more back to you guys. Yeah.
Sarah, I wonder if I could jump in and ask a question about for Viola about the work that you guys are doing. How do you see that developing? Like, what's next? Because, you know, I kind of relatively glibly, I guess, put a comment in when you were speaking, because the spaces that we have access to in our city are really really inspiring, and we're very lucky, aren't we? I mean, it's come up in even some of the recovery conversations we've been having about business, because the tourism industry is just decimated at the moment, and staycations are going to be the thing that we think will kind of get, you know, our kind of rural and our cities moving again. But Dundee, compared to some of the other much more built up cities, has got so much more going for it. And you know, within 10 minutes drive, you can get to some amazing spaces. So I'm just wondering how all of that, is that on your radar? What's coming next?
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So suppose, well, the Green Health Partnership has a 3-year funding. So I think I was outside of mine. So my funding will run out next year in May. But until then, you know, I will try and encourage more people to notice what's around them, to go to the parks. I mean, if you see it, I see it a lot when I travel in Europe, and people just go and have a picnic and they enjoy sitting in the park, being social. I'm hoping that, I suppose through lockdown now as well, and parks are being busier, that people will realise that they can do this here. And as you said, like staycations, so start to make more use of what's around you. There are lots of fabulous groups who do wonderful work to make our parks more beautiful. Be it, you know, around the Dichty, you've got Dichty Connect, and they put in lovely mosaic benches so that you can sit and enjoy the water actually that you mentioned. So that'd be a great place to go and do a little bit of meditation, sit next to the flowing water. So I'm hoping that those developments in our city will obviously continue, and more people will, after lockdown especially, keep valuing nature. There are a couple of projects that I'm working on just now. With the Dundee Science Centre, for example, we're creating a permanent exhibition for the cafe to showcase the different parks and some of the worth noticing nature things that can be found in them, to hopefully inspire people to venture out and then explore what's on their doorstep. I know that for the first 8 years that I lived here, I thought Dundee Greenspaces are restricted to the Magdalen Green, Victoria Park and the Riverside, and I had actually never taken the time to venture out and explore all the other ones. And I'm hoping that a lot of more people will start to do this going forward, because the city really already has a lot to give, and anything else that's added to it will just be, you know, added value and make it more beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, even just, you can see that on Friends' social media, can't you? That the photographs that people are taking, as they're saying, I didn't know this was here. You know, people are kind of using their time to get out and about. I mean, I live in Downfield, and I had a wander through Caird Park and had no idea there was a cemetery in there beside the castle. It's absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, I think like you, I hope that we keep that going. I noticed that Kate is kind of adding some things in the chat. Kate, did you want to come in and just kind of give a bit more of an insight into some of that, or are you feeling shy?
Yeah, I'll come in. Hang on, I'll just turn the camera on. Can you see me? I'm in the kitchen. Hello. Yeah, just I feel really strongly that that nature contact is incredibly important, even if you're not feeling depressed or sad or overwhelmed. And if you are trying to do any kind of restorative psychological practice, doing it out in nature makes it so much more effective. So that applies to adults who are suffering from depression, anxiety, that kind of thing, all the stuff that Viola has been promoting. But education, it's huge for kids to not be able to access nature is just absolutely crippling for their educational development. And so for parents who are struggling with the homeschooling, I would say just go out, take them to the woods, and they're learning by themselves. You don't need to be, presenting it to them and struggling to get it into them all the time. It's there automatically for them to just absorb. Sorry, I'll shut up. I'm on a rant.
I mean, I don't have young children at home at the moment, but I wonder how much of that comes through in the learning, that distance learning that parents are getting, because I guess there's either the camp of people that are feel like they're actually managing and managing to be teacher while they're kind of at home, and then there's everybody else going, God, they've spent all day on their iPads. and I'm sort of just, that's how we've evolved, because the rest of it's not working. So I don't know if anybody's got young people that can come in and kind of share what kind of classes and distance learning you're getting, but that's a really good point, Kate.
Well, I can jump in because I've got 2 boys. We are doing homeschooling. That's why I hardly ever manage to join other groups or groups or whatever in the morning, because we do homeschooling to house class to 11, and then that's it. But almost every night I send texts to the teachers and, sorry, we haven't done this. There are more people.
Does somebody have loads of animals in the background? Sarah, are you muted?
Sorry, no, I am.
Is it your cat?
Sorry, no, it's not my cat. I think it was coming from Kate. Kate, I've just muted you for the time being. There's a lot of sound feedback coming from your computer. I don't know if it sounds like you've got yeah.
Yeah, no, outdoor learning, that's what we do. We're trying to implement it wherever we can. And if today, after 9 weeks of lockdown, my younger one is asking, how do you write N? And I was like, Jesus. Doesn't know how to write N. But then he's happy and they're doing stuff. The older one broke his collarbone yesterday, jumping on a pogo stick. But I'm thinking, well, he could be doing something really boring and be not happy. So it's always balancing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Anybody want to kind of jump in before we sort of finish things off? Anything else anybody's got to contribute? I was going to say laughing, that's unfair and unkind. I'm smiling wryly at Robert's comment in the chat about how his partner's fallen asleep in another room. So it's all been extremely powerful. Sarah, I think that's a testimonial for the website, that one. Brilliant. Well, I think, if nobody's got anything else, I think we'll just finish up there. But everybody, thank you so much for taking the time to come and share this with us today. It has been really, really interesting. Two, different sides of a very complementary subject. And I'm sure we will have you back. It would be fantastic to kind of explore more. Pardon the pun. But thank you to the speakers. Thank you to Sarah for organising us, and to everybody else. I hope you've enjoyed the session. Look forward to seeing you at something else. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.